Why I have decided to marry her is not only that I like her, but that I can do no better, even from a fairly practical point of view. That I might have looked higher is possibly true, though it is really all nonsense. I have experience enough of looking above me.
Oh, it's nearly 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, and neither dress nor man.
Mother, if you think to tantalise me by talking like that, then you're much mistaken. Let him be as late as he will, or stay away altogether. I don't care.
And I've come here from sheer necessity, previously to making a new start. Yes, things are very bad for me, very bad.
Oh, sit ye down by the fire. Did you choose to come this particular night for a reason?
For no reason. My arrival tonight is quite at random. But this room, the table laid, and you and your finery. What is going on?
Sally is to be married in a day or two. Her intended, Mr. Darton, is coming here tonight with the groomsman, Mr. Johns. We thought it might be their step when we heard you.
Well then, I am not the only one in this mess. Would to heaven that I were, but...
Oh, Phil!
I have a wife, as destitute as I.
A wife?
Unhappily.
A wife? Oh, yes, that is the way with sons. What must we call your wife?
Helena.
My God, Helena, is that you?
Charles Darton!
What are you doing here? How? And why?
Oh, Charles, we've come from Australia and are in such dire circumstances. It's so awful that...
Helena? Mr. Darton?
What was happening in the stable just now? If the scene meant anything, it meant at least that my intended husband and sister-in-law have met before.
Let me take care of the children, at least while you are so unsettled. You belong to another, so I cannot take care of you.
Yes, you can. And you can since you seem to wish to. Oh, she no longer belongs to another. My poor brother is dead.
I just spoke to Mr. Darton. He has readily assented to the postponement.
No doubt he has. It's not put off for a week, or a month, or a year. I shall never marry him, and she will.
Part 2 of Interlopers by Thomas Hardy.
The Knap, King's Hintock, Wessex, May 13th. Dear Mr. Darton,
I am writing to thank you for your kind offer regarding my children. I would be glad to accept it as regards my eldest boy, particularly as there is no good school near Hintock to which he can be sent. Yours sincerely,
Helena Hall. The Knap, King's Hintock, Wessex, July 11th. Dear Mr. Darton,
I have made arrangements for the boy to be taken by myself and family to the White Horse Inn at Chalk Newton on July 23rd as agreed, where he will be delivered to your bailiff and into your safekeeping. If all goes well, we should wish him to spend the Christmas holidays with us. Yours sincerely, Helena Hall.
Ha-ha, good boy! See, Jethro, the boy has grasped it quickly. He will soon be riding the forest pony to school and home for the holidays. Good afternoon, sir.
Good day to you, sir. And a Merry Christmas to you, young sir. What can I do for you?
The boy and I are here to meet Mrs. Helena and Miss Sally Hall.
Ah, yes, I'll just fetch Mrs. Hall now.
Helena? But where is Sally?
At the last moment, Sally would not come.
Oh, why?
She did not say. She asked me to give you this letter.
The Knap, King's Intock, Wessex, December 18th. Dear Charles, living here with Helena, I have naturally learned her history, especially that which refers to you. I am sure she would accept you as an husband at the proper time, and I think you ought to give her the opportunity. You inquire in an old note if I am sorry that I showed temper, which it was not, that night when I heard you talking to her. No, Charles, I am not sorry at all for what I said then. Yours sincerely, Sally Hall.
You have spoken to Sally about us, about our past.
Yes.
She believes that our future should be spent together. Is that something you would consider?
Yes, perhaps. In time.
Well, Japheth, you must be wondering why I'm here. It is simple. I am asking you to fulfill at last the bridal office which has been in abeyance since last January 12 months.
With all my heart, man, oh constancy, I've lost most of my genteel fair complexion haymaking this hot weather, 'tis true, but I'll do your business as well as them that look better. There be sense and good hair oil in the world yet, thank God. And then I'll take off the roughest of my edge. I'll compliment her. Better late than never, Sally Hall, I'll say.
It is not Sally. It is young Mrs. Hall.
Not Sally? Why not Sally? I can't believe it. Young Mrs. Hall? Well, where's your wisdom? She was a woman worth having if ever a woman was, and now to let her go?
I suppose I can marry where I like.
This don't become you, Charles. It really do not. If I had done such a thing, you would have sworn I was cured northern fool to be drawn off the scent by such a red herring.
Well, so be it.
Yes, well, I will be no groomsman to you. As you know, I'm leaving this part of the county, and, you know, it'll be a relief. Goodbye!
The past months have been very happy and satisfying. However, much more of her character has been revealed to me. She is a fragile woman, of little staying power, physically or morally. In the time since we originally knew each other, she has been severely tried. She has loved herself out, and is now given to moping. Sometimes she speaks regretfully of her early life. Instead of comparing her present fortune with her condition as the wife of poor, unlucky Philip Hall, she muses on what it had been before she took the first fatal step of clandestinely marrying him. She does not care to please such people as those with whom she is thrown as a thriving farmer's wife, and allows the pretty trifles of agricultural domesticity to glide by her as sorry details.
Oh, I simply cannot bear to be with these people.
Perhaps Japheth was right. I should have gone on with Sally. Better to go with the tide and make the best of its course than stem it at the risk of capsize. But then...
Poor Mrs. Darton. It was quite a shock for Charles. They had less than a year and a half together before she gave out.
Yes, it was a shock. You can tell. No woman short of divine could have gone through an experience such as hers with her first husband without becoming a little soured.
And she's left him a tiny red infant in white wrappings.
Oy, and he devotes much care to that little one.
I now find myself with a family to care for, but no wife. I believe I have gained wisdom from my mistakes and caution from my miscarriages. Helena was a woman to lend pathos and refinement to a home. Sally is the woman to brighten it. She will not, as Helena did, despise the rural simplicities of a farmer's fireside. But most of all, Sally has a preeminent qualification for the household. No other woman could make so desirable a mother to her brother's children and mine as she. With Helena sadly gone, I am a more promising husband to Sally than I have ever been. Damn it, this cold evening reminds me of another journey long past. On to the Knap again. Jethro, saddle up the mare. I fain have my old acquaintance Jap Johns with me again. I regret our last meeting, but it cannot be. He has removed to the other side of the county. Ah, the fork in the road again. No mistaking this time, nor shall I be able to mistake when I arrive. I am here to set in order things that are long awry, not a momentary freak of fancy.
5 years ago this very night, if I'm not mistaken.
Not this night, though 'twas one night this week.
Well, 'tis near enough. 5 years ago, Mr. Darton came to marry you, and my poor Phil came home to die. Oh, Sally, if you had managed well, Mr. Darton would have had you, Helena or none.
Don't be sentimental about that, Mother. I didn't care to manage well in such a case. Though I liked him, I weren't anxious. I would never have married the man in the midst of such a hitch as that was, and I don't think I would if he were to ask me now.
I'm not sure about that, unless you have another in your eye.
I wouldn't, and I'll tell you why. I could hardly marry him for love at this time of day, and as we've quite got enough to live on if we give up the dairy tomorrow, I should have no reason to marry for any meaner reason. I am quite happy enough as I am, and there's an end to it.
Good evening, Mrs. Hall.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Darton. Could you push up the chimney crook for me, Mr. Darton? The notches hitch.
Of course, Mrs. Hall.
I think I'll go and prepare a late tea.
Sally, I have come here with a proposal. Now that Helena is sadly gone, I am a man in need of a wife, and such a fine woman as you could be the perfect mother for your brother's children and for mine.
But Mr. Darton...
I am mindful of the past and what has happened between us, but I pray that bygones may be bygones. I wish to make amends to you.
No, Mr. Darton, I cannot. I am happy as I am. I will not marry you.
I came to ask your daughter to marry me, Mrs. Hall. Chose the night and everything, with an eye to a favourable answer, but she won't.
Then she's a very ungrateful girl.
I suppose there's nobody else more favoured.
I can't say that there is or isn't. She's private in some things. I'm on your side, however, Mr. Darton, and I'll talk to her.
Thank ye. Bid you good night.
Oh! Can a jack-o'-lent believe his few senses on such a night, or can't he? I dare not swear he can, though fain I would.
Japheth, I am glad to put an end to our long silence. But what are you travelling this way for?
I'm going to see your relations, as they always seem to me. Mrs. Hall and Sally. Well, Charles, the fact is, I find the natural barbarousness of man is much increased by a bachelor life, and, as your leavings were always good enough for me, I'm trying civilization here.
Not with Sally. To marry her?
Yes, by the help of Providence and my personal charms, and I think I shall get her. I'm on this road every week. My present dairy is only 4 miles off, you know, and I see her through the window. 'Tis rather odd that I was going to speak practical to her tonight for the first time. You've just called.
Yes, for a short while. But she didn't say a word about you.
A good sign, a good sign. Now that decides me. I'll swing the mallet and get her answer this very night as I planned.
Well, ha! I wish you joy of her. Goodbye, Japheth.
And to you, Charles.
Happy Japheth. This, then, is the explanation. So, we meet again, Japheth.
Good day, Charles.
When is the joyful day to be for you and Sally?
Not at all. 'Tis a bad job. She won't have me.
Well, try again. 'Tis coyness.
Oh, no, there's been none of that. We talked it over dozens of times in the most fair and square way. She tells me plainly I don't suit her. 'Twould be simply annoying to ask her again. Ah, Charles, you threw a prize away when you let her slip 5 years ago.
I did. Well, I appear to be mistaken in thinking of Japheth as my successful rival. I might hope for Sally after all. I will write to her. Dear Mr. Darton,
Thank you for your letter. I am as sensible as any woman can be of the goodness that leads you to make me this offer a second time. For when I read your nice long speeches on mangled wurzels and such like topics at the Casterbridge Farmers Club, I do feel it an honour, I assure you. But my answer is just the same as before. I will not try to explain what, in truth, I cannot explain, my reasons. I will simply say I must decline to be married to you. With good wishes, as in former times, I am your faithful friend.
Sally Hall. Is that sarcasm? Nice long speeches on mango wurzel. Sounds suspicious. But, sarcasm or none, I have my answer.
The story is everywhere about Darton. Apparently he's ruined.
Oi, I hear he's lost heavily by the failure of the bank.
Here he is now.
Gentlemen, friends, I am aware that there have been certain persistent rumours recently concerning alleged business troubles of mine with my bank. Without fear of contradiction, I can say that such troubles are nothing to do with me or my affairs. They are the misfortune of another farmer of my name, who lives over Chalk Newton way. Be assured, Charles Darton is as solvent as ever.
Dear Mr. Darton, we have been so alarmed these last few days by the report that you were ruined by the stoppage of the bank. Now it is contradicted. I hasten by my mother's wish to say how truly glad we are to find that there is no foundation of the report. After your kindness to my poor brother's children, I can do no less than write at such a moment. We had a letter from each of them a few days ago. Your faithful friend, Sally Hall.
Mercenary little woman. Then that was the secret of her refusal this time. She thought I was ruined. But I can't condemn her in this. What do I want in a wife? Love and integrity. What next? Worldly wisdom. Is there really more than worldly wisdom in her refusal to go aboard a sinking ship? She now knew it was otherwise. Begad, I'll try her again. Here we are again at the Knap. Shall I go to the inn first? Ah, there is Sally. No, I'll tie my horse to the garden gate now. If all goes well, it can soon be taken round. If not, I mount and ride away. Sally? Sally, I know you have dismissed my offers of marriage before, but I feel that this time...
Mr. Darton, surely not.
Receiving your last letter has persuaded me that there is so much that is right for us to marry. Would you consent to be my bride and wife?
No, I will never marry you, Mr. Darton. I would have done it once, but now I never can.
But I will do anything. I will drive you to see your mother every week. I'll take you to London. I'll settle a princely sum of money on you, anything.
No!
Then you hadn't heard of my supposed failure when you declined last time.
I had not. That you believe me capable of refusing you for such a reason does not help your cause.
And 'tis not because of any soreness from my slighting you years ago.
No, that soreness is long past.
Ah, then you despise me, Sally.
No, I don't altogether despise you. I do not think of you quite such a hero as I once did, that's all. The truth is, I am happy enough as I am. I don't mean to marry at all. Now, may I ask a favour, sir?
To any extent.
Please, do not put this question to me any more. Friends as long as you like, but lovers and married, never.
I never will. Not if I live 100 years.
And Charles Darton never did. That he had worn out his welcome in her heart was only too plain. When his stepchildren had grown up and were placed out in life, all communication between Darton and the Hall family ceased. It was only by chance that years after he learnt that Sally, notwithstanding the solicitations her attractions drew down upon her, had refused several more offers of marriage, and steadily adhered to her purpose of leading a single life.
In the second and final part of Interlopers by Thomas Hardy, Farmer Charles Darton was played by Ed Clark, Sally Hall by Lisa Nightingale, and Mrs. Hall by S.J. Vant. Mike Gravano was Japheth Johns, Emma Willits inhabited Helena Hall, and Jim Newberry announced things. The innkeeper was a Christmassy jolly Mark Smith. All other parts were played by members of this cast. The piece was adapted and directed by Jim Newberry. All sound and effects were produced by the knob twiddler extraordinaire that is Robbie Burgess. Interlopers is a joint venture from Uptick Productions and the Chatting Tracks podcast.